Hello. I'm excited to welcome everybody today. I am Diana Sunshine and I am from Coursera, and I'm excited to moderate today's Arizona State University Master of Computer Science webinar. First, I would like everyone to get comfortable on Zoom. If you mouse over the bottom toolbar, you're going to see that there's a Q&A, a share screen, and a chat button. So if you all go to chat right now, and just type where you're coming in from. So I'm just going to say hi. I'm in from California. And so let's see where everybody's coming in from. Great, we see Christina from Arizona. We have somebody from Delhi, India. This is lovely. And then the second thing I wanted people to do is to look at the Q&A. So when we're going to be doing the conversation today, that you're obviously going to have a lot of questions. Our goal is to answer all of your questions. And if you have questions, it'd be lovely if you would click on the Q&A button and put your questions in there. So the next thing I'd like to do is introduce our two hosts. We have Christina Sebring. She is an academic advisor from ASU. And we also have Dragan Boscovic, who is a research professor in the School of Engineering at Arizona State University. So I'd like to turn it over to you guys.
Good morning and welcome to our webinar. We're excited to talk to you today about our Master of Computer Science program. Today I'm Christina. I'm the graduate advisor for the MCS online program at Arizona State University in the School of Computing, Informatics, and Decision System Engineering, or SIDSE for short.
And my name is Dragan Boscovic, and I'm from the same school with that long name. You would be seeing my face with blockchain courses and some of the data engineering courses going forward.
And on chat today, you'll see Allison Kieran. She's our assistant director, and Roxy Havanesian, who's our manager over graduate advising. And then you've met Diana, who's from Coursera.
Okay.
So today we're going to overview what the MCS program is, what the curriculum and courses look like, spend a bit of time on the admissions requirements, talk about the application process and deadlines, and then get to your questions.
So let me start by giving you an overview of the courses that you would have in this Master of Computer Science course. So right now we have 20 courses that are associated with this online MCS. You would be needing to choose 3 courses to start with, one from the foundations, one from the systems, and one from applications. In order to qualify for the degree, you would need another 7. You would have a choice between data engineering, or might be artificial intelligence, or might be software engineering, cyber security. That is up to you, and that is a benefit because you would be able to somehow navigate specialties and the skills that you would have after graduating from this course. Okay.
So getting into the admissions requirements, how they get into the program to take all those classes. The first thing is submitting the application, which we'll give you the link to get there a little bit later. But after you submit, you do have to have your official transcript sent from all prior schools and universities. So those can be sent in a sealed envelope directly from the university. And usually that comes with a stamped seal. You can also provide copies of your transcripts or mark sheets with the original stamp provided by your university. You'll want to send the official transcripts directly to graduate admissions at Arizona State University. We have provided a link on your screen that provides the mailing address and the physical location for FedEx and other types of direct mail options. Now, if you are having issues retrieving your official transcripts, there is an individual you can contact. That's Anita Chawla. Her email address is anita.chawla, and that's CHAWLA@asu.edu. And she can maybe discuss some alternative options with you so we can try to get you, get everything reviewed for you. The second criteria is the GPA. So we do have a minimum GPA of 3.25 in the last 60 credit hours of your undergrad degree, which is usually the last 2 years. Now, you do want to enter your GPA exactly as it appears on your transcripts. So if you attended a non-US school, you want to enter it according to whatever scale appears on your transcripts. We will then evaluate it based on the scale used for that country where the education took place. So you don't need to convert it or translate it, just enter it exactly as it appears. And then the last thing is calculus. We do require 3 semesters of calculus, including multivariate, that does need to be completed with grades on the transcript at the time of the application.
Next slide.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
So we do have some prerequisites, and those are appearing in this bulleted list on your screen. We require you have knowledge in computer organization and assembly language programming, data structures and algorithms, operating systems, principles of programming languages, which is advanced programming, compilers, syntax, semantics. We also require introduction to theoretical computer science and introduction to software engineering. Now, if you don't have an undergraduate degree in computer science, you may not have taken the college credit for these courses. So we do offer the option to take the major field test offered through ETS. Now, this exam you can take at home via an online proctor. The cost is $46. So if that's an option that interests you, you can email Anita. And again, that's anita.challa@asu.edu, and she can help you get set up with that. We don't have a passing score. The test results will be evaluated with the rest of your application materials. And you don't have to worry about sending your results either. They're sent directly to ASU. So it's another option to help with those prerequisites.
That's cool.
And we also require a personal statement. So it doesn't have to be long. We want a statement from you explaining why you're interested in the program, why you want to do grad school. It's a statement of intent is another common way to describe this. Another requirement, if you have your degree was completed outside the United States, there is an English proficiency test requirement that ASU requires. If you've taken credits in the US, you may qualify for an exemption. The best way to check that is to look at the criteria directly on the International Graduate Admissions website. And that link is also provided here for you as well. So we'll leave that up for just a minute. And now the TOEFL is going to be required or some kind of English proficiency if your education was completed in a country where the native language is not English. So that's the requirement there. And then if you're having any trouble with this, scheduling an English proficiency test, you can reach out to Anita for that as well. Okay, so there is an application fee before you submit the application. You're going to have to pay the application fee, the 70 or 90 depends on if you're in the US or international. One thing is we do not require letters of recommendation. The application is going on, but you can input, you can even input your own if you want just to bypass that screen, but we do not require you to send letters for you to have your application reviewed. Now you can certainly enter recommenders and have them submitted to strengthen your application, but we do not require it.
So those are optional if somebody has them and feel that it is important to have them.
Absolutely,
they have an option to basically submit.
Yes, absolutely. The option's still there, but they don't have to do it. So that's important. Cool. And then we do not require the GRE.
So we go to the next one.
So here, our deadline is July 20th, so that's coming up very soon. So get your application started right away. There's a link to start the application at links.asu.edu/MCS. That is our program website, so you can see those prerequisite courses I mentioned and all the other admissions requirements there as well. You have to pay the fee and then start getting your documentation submitted, such as your transcripts. Now, as long as you submit that application by the 20th and have your transcripts and everything sent and in progress, we're going to do our best to evaluate you for fall. So we will make our best effort as soon as we have a completed application to review.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you have any, we do have some frequently asked questions posted on our website. Again, that's links.asu.edu/MCS. So these are some of our most common questions that we've
Yeah.
seen from students.
So basically, we would like to give you some time to think of your own questions. We are going to start with those that we have seen online. And first one that we have seen is the following. What if I do not have 12 hours of calculus? Christina,
So
what
I would
do?
recommend before application, take the calculus. Those, if for the United States, you can take those at community colleges. You can find them offered online through a lot of local universities as well. So I would go ahead and enroll in the calculus and get that out of the way, because at the time of application, we do need to see that posted calculus grade.
So the next most common question that we had, I think we have answered this one, but we can repeat that. Are letters of recommendation required for admission?
No, we do not require them, but they can certainly submit recommenders if they want to. It's optional, but not required.
Okay.
Now, Dragan, do we teach a blockchain course in this program?
I'm excited to announce that we are starting our first course ever in blockchain. It should be available this spring, and we are making or preparing that course as we speak. So it will be listed or is already listed on the list of courses, and it is going to be slightly different from other courses that you are able to find on blockchain, because we would be paying attention on how it works and giving you foundations to build some other applications than just cryptocurrency, basically. So
that's exciting and innovative.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, so the next question that we have is, how do you calculate international transcripts?
So this
is there exact science, or is it
it is
subject?
Definitely not an exact science, because there's a
Okay.
lot of variance based on country and where the transcript's coming from. So countries use different scales. So we evaluate it based on the scale used by that country. ASU receives a lot of international transcripts, so we have a lot of basis and data to go off of and access to all these scales and do our own research. So you should not feel like you have to translate your GPA, because we evaluate it based on the scale of the country where that education is taking place. We have gotten some questions about, that 3.25 GPA and what it is, and do they have it? And if you're on a 4.0 scale, it's usually that B+ average. If coming from countries like India, for say, it's usually that first class distinction is where that GPA is usually landing.
Is equivalent, yes, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe, Diana, now we are ready for questions that came in online.
That sounds good. Can you hear me? I just unmuted myself.
We can.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so the first question we have is from Drew, and he had a question of, or she, will you have a pathway for people to take the prerequisite classes if they can't take the ETS class?
I can take
Or
that
test,
one.
excuse me, the ETS test.
So we're under development for a formal pathway for the spring semester. So for now, for fall, it is the ETS test you could do some self-study to prepare for that, or if you have, experience from industry and just personal experience, that might help you prepare for that. But the formal pathway is still under development and should launch for spring 2019 to help with preparing for those classes. So hopefully that answered Drew's question.
Yeah, and I think I'd like, I've seen a few questions about the ETS major test, and I think we could clarify a little bit for the group, because somebody had asked, I'm an electrical engineering undergrad, am I eligible to apply after taking the test? But the person's, as an electrical engineering undergrad, you have to have a CS undergrad, is that accurate?
So for the ETS test, it's actually for those without the computer science undergrad degree.
Got it. Okay.
So for like an electrical engineering, they may have taken a couple of the classes. It depends a little bit on the curriculum, but they are probably missing at least some of them, particularly those more advanced computer science type classes. that where the ETS test would be a good option to demonstrate proficiency in the computer science realm.
That's right.
Perfect. Okay. And then another question that I've seen is that somebody, once again, the prerequisites around the calculus is important for a lot of people. Somebody specifically asked, I did 2 semesters of calculus and 1 semester of discrete mathematics, statistics, and probability. Would those 3 courses combined qualify for the math requirement?
So, okay, I'm just going to repeat that. You said calculus, 2 semesters of calculus. So calculus 1 and 2, discrete math, and statistics and probability.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So we would evaluate that with the calculus, with that math combination. We would go ahead and evaluate that. That would be considered enough math.
That would be considered enough math.
Yes.
Great. And then there's been a number of questions about the TOEFL, and it seems like there's 2 different tests that you can take for English.
Yes.
Is there a preferred one between the IELTS and the TOEFL, or is either okay? What is your guys' thoughts on that question?
We accept either of those. So the TOEFL, the IELTS, there's also Pearson offers a test of English that is an option as well. So it's really whatever is most convenient, or whichever has the soonest
or
testing.
prevalent in that country.
Yeah. So whichever one's prevalent, either any of those are fine.
Great.
And again, Diana, I just want to reiterate again, if there's challenges with scheduling the English proficiency, that student should reach out to Anita. And so that, again, is anita.chawla@asu.edu.
Let's put Anita's email address in the chat. Maybe Allison, if you don't mind doing that, that would be great.
Yeah.
And then the next question I see is somebody had asked, Emanish asked, how does the online master's program at ASU compare to that of the on-campus ASU MCS program?
Let me answer that one. Okay.
Absolutely.
So syllabus-wise, they are exactly the same. There is no any major difference in what is going to be taught on campus and online. There would be same lecturers or professors, so absolutely no difference. There is one, I would say, slight difference, and that is that online courses will be tailored in such way that basically individual students can complete their assignments without waiting for the wider group to progress at the same pace. It means if somebody is hardworking and like to do the assignments in a week instead of 2, they will be able to do that faster or slower depending on their pace. So that is a good aspect of our online design. Okay.
Wonderful.
Great. Well, we have
next question.
Yeah, the next
Hopefully
question.
it
We have another
answers.
question that somebody's asking. It said, is there a promise of getting, if you graduate, is there a promise that you can get interviewed? Obviously not a guarantee to be hired, but is there a promise to be getting interviewed by recruiters once you complete the program? Do you guys have any information on those type of career services?
There is no contractual obligation on our part, but we do have career course, and we have all, and I think it was presented in the last webinar. We have large companies recruiting actively on the campus and asking for our graduates. So I think online students will have exposure to those employers that are seeking employee with the skills that will be offered and taught on the course or during the course. Okay.
Yeah, and as an ASU student, you'll also have full access to career services at ASU, as you mentioned, and Fulton even has a designated career services office with even a lot of tools just on their website for resume review and mock interviews. So that could be things to help prepare for the job market.
Yes. Does it answer the question, Diana?
I think that does answer the question. So I would to kind of restate it. What we were saying is there's no guarantee, but of course there's a robust career services program at ASU and at the Fulton School, and any student in the degree program will have access to that, but there is no guarantee that you would get the interview, right?
Correct.
And then obviously there's no guarantee you would get the job.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors involved in that.
Yeah. But it is a robust, career services program. So Adito is asking about what are the total fees for the program?
Oh, so it's the breakdown is $500 per credit hour. So all of our courses are 3 credit hour courses. So every course is 1,500. So we have 10 courses required for the program. So it will total at 15,000 for the total cost of the program.
Yeah.
Are there any additional fees outside of that 15,000?
The only it would be for books. I think the ASU ID card is the only other very minimal fee.
Perfect. And then somebody asked, are there scholarship opportunities available? So if the 15,000, although it's an extraordinarily affordable degree by US standards, if you still need to get scholarship opportunities, what would your recommendations be?
Want me to take this one?
Yes, please.
So ASU does have a financial aid office. So I would, if you do a student, if you Google financial aid on the student's website, and we can probably get that link out to you, they have some information on there. So there is financial aid available. It's of course subject to availability. So there's other requirements, eligibility requirements that would need to be considered. But ASU does have financial aid, so that could be a viable option for you.
Great. Drew has asked another question and is wondering, will ASU offer a doctoral degree in the future in computer science online that the master students could go on to?
We do not have any current plans to extend this into doctoral degree. Nevertheless, the master that we are offering online right now is a good launching pad for someone to go and do doctorate after this, okay? What would be needed is just to make sure that they stay in touch with professor or contact professor of the course or the subject that they are interested in, inquire about research projects that professor might have in that field, and then see if they have interest in joining his or her group and basically advancing to doctorate degree after their master degree.
Cool. The next question that I see, and this is an interesting one, and I think, Dragan, you're going to have fun answering it, is about specializations and concentrations. So it says, in the ASU Master of Computer Science on-campus program, there are specializations like big data, machine learning, and cybersecurity. Do those specializations also apply to the online program? And this person is particularly interested in cybersecurity.
So a short answer is yes, but not right now. And I would explain why not right now. Not right now because not all of the courses are available online yet. We are developing many as we speak. And exact determination which courses are needed for someone to get specialization in cybersecurity or big data or something else will be done very shortly, but we don't have definitive answers yet.
And our program website will be updated as those new options become available. So that's that ASU online website where we have all the admissions requirements. We'll definitely update that on that.
So I would say by the time they are done with 3 or 4 courses, we should have that information ready to guide their further selection of the courses, okay?
And if you don't mind me adding, there will be a a difference between a specialization and then the degree
Yeah, that's
program
important,
in
yeah.
big data or cybersecurity, whereas the degree program will dictate specifically what classes you have to take to earn that 30 credit MCS degree with that concentration. The specializations will be a little bit different than that. So there
more
is
ad hoc, yes.
Yes, yeah. So hopefully that answered the question.
No, I think that's great. We have another question that I really like, and I'll answer part of it, but I'd also like you guys to answer it. But it's from Brian, and he says, I'm 50 years old, and I'm thinking about going back to school for my master's. It's been a long time since I've been to college. Would this course be suitable for me? And I'll answer it from the Coursera standpoint, which is, by all means, this is very much the right program for somebody who hasn't been in school for a while. We have people in our degree programs that we have somebody who's in their 70s. We have a lot of lifelong learners and people who have multiple master's degrees. And we think that the fact that our programs, along with, working with ASU, that they are online, that you can get them anytime, anywhere, and you don't have to step out of your life, is a huge benefit. So Brian, I would very much encourage you to look into this. And then Christina and Dragan, do you have any specifics about if you were someone who's been out of the school for a while, how would that be for you coming into the program?
I mean, from an advising standpoint, to echo what Diana said, I think having it be online where you can, kind of log on and complete it when it suits your personal schedule is a definite benefit. You don't have to be in class at a specific time. There's that individual pacing that you spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
And so I think that will be greatly beneficial. And you can take a minimum of one class per semester, which will allow you to kind of ease your way back into school a little bit and get used to doing that again. As with any kind of school, it just comes down to time management and figuring out how that fits in your schedule.
So I would just add that really experience should be an advantage, not disadvantage, especially if he was practicing some of the skills in computer science. It will help learn faster and also be more applied with the assignments, or it would be much easier with someone who did spend a few years in industry than someone who needs to do that right from the beginning. So yeah, I think experience is good to have, and we do not discriminate.
No,
we
absolutely
like
not.
those. Yeah.
Perfect. So someone else has now asked, and I think this is a really important question, is there a fixed time span in which I must complete the degree program? And I think it would be nice actually if you guys could talk about the full range, how quickly, what's the fastest you can complete it, what's the longest you can complete it, so that people can understand, and then kind of the workload between those two ranges.
Well, I mean, I can speak to the maximum. Per policy, you'll have 6 years to complete the program from the time you're admitted until you finish. So you'll have 6 years. Likely will not take you that long. We anticipate you can complete it probably as short as maybe 1.5 to 2 years.
Yeah. So I can add to that, with our courses and syllabus development, we were dimensioning that in a way that to expect that someone who is working and doing this maybe part-time should be able to complete 2 courses per semester. Okay, so having 10 courses to complete for degree, it will take 5 cycles. That is roughly 2.5 years, okay? Nevertheless, somebody who is doing this full-time might be able to complete that in 1.5 years or 2 years. We do not have any lower limits how fast someone can graduate.
Yeah, definitely no lower limits, as fast as your schedule allows.
Yeah,
the classes will be offered in the 7.5 week cycles. So You can take one the first half of the semester and then the one the second half. And then of course summers will be an option too, depending on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but very much driven by your own personal schedule.
Perfect. Well, I have a few questions that I think are similar, so I'm going to kind of bundle them together. Somebody has asked, you know, will an elective related computer science class that I did an undergraduate suffice? Somebody else said, hey, I had some calculus in my undergraduate engineering program. Would that suffice for my calculus prerequisite? So they have kind of really specific questions about their courses and like, how does it apply to them? What would you recommend for somebody like that to get these questions answered?
That kind of goes back, it's similar to that GPA where there's no perfect formula for evaluating the math because it varies a lot by country. Where it might be mathematics coming from some countries, or it might actually spell out like multivariate in different types of analysis on different transcripts. So it's going to vary a lot by school and by country what that math requirement is. I know there's a lot of requests for, you know, do I have it before I apply? But the best way to kind of get that evaluation is to go in, submit the application, so that you can get that evaluation by the admissions committee. So because it's hard to answer without actually seeing the transcripts and knowing which school it's coming from.
Yeah, and I think if they have a specific question, should they email Anita? Or
they can definitely email Anita. She's been fielding a lot of questions about this, so they could start with Anita.
That's lovely. Okay, and then I see a great question, which is somebody says, I'm a software architect in India. What will be the timings of the live classes? Are there live classes, or is this really mostly self-paced?
This is mostly self-paced, or we won't have any live classes. There might be some optional Q&As on the course that might be live broadcast, but at the same time, they will be also recorded, so someone will be able to watch and learn at their own pace. Diana, so we do not see that time zone is any impediment to following and progressing with the assignments.
Excellent. So another question is, how are the exams administered? I mean, what's the mode? Are they written? They asked, is it written or MCQ? And I actually don't know what MCQ means.
That's probably multiple choice question.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I can take that one. So I think it will depend from course to course, but as I said, they would be mainly multiple choice questions. And I think the project and the assignment will account up to 30% of the degree. The most important in this online courses will be to pay good attention to the assignments and demonstrate that you are really progressing well with solving those problems that are given for homework. When it comes to exams, I think that would be easier part of the passing the test.
Perfect. Okay, so getting back to the person who had talked about what time the live classes would be, and we said that there really aren't live classes, but there might be some live sessions that are recorded. Nishant has asked, will we have any dedicated instructor or anyone that I can reach out to if I have questions or, you know, need something clarified? I know that there's going to be some Slack and there's, you know, emails and stuff, but so if you can talk about some of the community aspects and how students can interact with their teachers to get that student support.
Right. So there'll be course facilitators and teaching assistants too that are monitoring and assisting with student questions. Like you mentioned, Slack. There'll be some discussion boards built into the class. I mean, email options. I think the live sessions you mentioned were the live office hours to help facilitate questions.
Yes, that's correct.
So there'll be multiple avenues if you need questions answered or assistance to reach out to the course facilitators and instructors.
And I would just add that we already hired staff that would be dedicated to supporting this course, and will be answering those questions and having office hours and demonstrations and everything that is needed to support students progressing at a normal pace. Okay.
Excellent. There's been another question. This is one of my favorite ones, which is, can I visit ASU after I complete the degree, just for the graduation ceremony?
Absolutely. You can definitely come and attend the graduation ceremony. So we would love to have you at Convocation and get to meet you in person. So that is absolutely an option if that's something you want to do, is to come attend commencement and Convocation in person.
Perfect. Then somebody else has said, does ASU rank highly for research and graduation placement? And so I thought, Christina, maybe we could talk about a few of the rankings that ASU has, because I know there's some really strong ones.
We're ranked highly on the U.S. World News Report. We mentioned last time we have a lot of big industry names that, as far as placement goes for that question, that seek out our students, Amazon and GoDaddy are just a couple, Apple, just to name a couple, that recruit our MCS students for those competencies they learn while completing the program. So do you want to speak a little bit actually about the research? Since that's
I can say a few words, although I'm missing that slide that we had last time. Okay. But I think we are ranked number 1 in terms of the innovation. We are ranked, and it is ahead of a university such as MIT or Stanford. In terms of the research and the grants, I think we are also in top 3 or 5, I can't remember now, but we do receive a lot of grants, and as I said, there is definitely opportunity to expand after this course into research and do your doctorate degree, because we are always looking for those people that have the skills and drive to do good research. Okay, maybe I'm missing some of those numbers, but that is off the top of my head.
I think the takeaway is the ASU is a top-ranked school from innovation. The computer science faculty specifically are very highly awarded from a research, awarded and respected from a research perspective. And then the program itself is highly ranked nationally. So I think that's the takeaway, is it's a well-ranked program and faculty.
And I would also add, I know that the Wall Street Journal has ranked ASU number 5 in employability. So it seems that there is for overall for the university a strong placement, and that's the quality of employability of their graduates. So that's great. Now somebody has asked if it looks like they're thinking they may not be able to make the July 20th date. They're like, as the July 20th is close to apply, when's the next kind of cohort date going to be? And I'm not sure that that's been decided yet, Christina.
We have not set a spring deadline, but I'd say if you feel like that July 20th is too soon, you can go ahead and apply now for spring and start getting your documents sent. So you're admitted early and ready to go for the spring semester. So we don't have that final one yet. But I would, if you're thinking of doing it for spring, I would go ahead and get that application started now. It is open, so you can apply now for spring if you think that timeline is a little bit better for you.
Yeah, and I would also add that that these applications are just not that arduous, right? And it just,
Oh, no,
it doesn't
no,
take
they're
that
not.
much time. And I have heard feedback from applicants that they, like, literally you can do it within a day or two. I do know that getting the transcripts may be a little hard, but I do think that if you work at it, if you reach out to the university, if you get it, you can get these things turned pretty quickly.
That's correct. The application itself, I mean, they could probably go in and complete that today and get that submitted. So the application itself, you're absolutely correct, is very quick. As you mentioned, it's the transcripts, or if they need that other supplemental, like the English proficiency, that's going to take more time. But that's kind of where we're going to do our best if that application is in by the deadline. If we know other things are in progress, that we're going to review as many applications as we can to get you in for fall. So we'll do our best if things are in progress and you're waiting on transcripts and things along those lines.
That's great. And then also Allison put in the chat that there's an expectation that the deadline for spring will be November 15th.
Okay.
So that's a good time to think about, it's a reasonable next deadline, although it hasn't been set in stone. So somebody has asked about a master's thesis. We've had a couple questions about that. Will this program require a master thesis at the end of the course? And if so, is it guided?
Non-thesis.
Oh, sorry, you're cutting out.
Thesis. But there is a culminating event or experience, if you would, that's using some ASU terminology. So in place of a thesis, students will submit a project portfolio at the end of the program. That will be, they'll pick 3 classes they took throughout their program and develop a portfolio that they'll submit to us for review. So it's very highlighting the projects they did and all that experience they gained instead of doing a thesis. So there will not be a required thesis component. Perfect.
Somebody has asked about the GRE and the test score cutoff, which I'd like you to just be able to answer that there's no GRE required, right?
Yeah, there is no GRE required. So this program does not require the GRE.
And the next question is, how flexible is the 3.25 GPA requirement?
Well, there's probably more context behind this question, Diana. As far as, so we're looking at that last 2 years. And it depends on that scale where that transcript's coming from, where we're gonna look at that. So that is the benchmark for a competitive application, is that 3.25. Now we know that's difficult if you have your transcript's not on a 4.0 scale. So that's why there's just not a blanket answer for that. But I guess the takeaway is to rest assured that we do evaluate based on the country where that transcript's coming from and the scale used there. But we are looking for that, like that first class ranking, or that B+ average if you are on that 4.0 scale. And that's to maintain competitive and meet those minimum requirements.
Yeah.
I know that ASU is thinking if people don't qualify for the GPA, are there going to be options where you can like take a course and prove yourself, like a performance pathway? Is that something that is, I think it's being considered?
It's under development for spring. So there's things in motion, if you will, to get that going for spring, where it'd be basically a non-degree option where you could come in and take a few classes to establish a higher graduate GPA, which would then help with that GPA requirement for admissions. So yeah, that will be an option for students starting in the spring semester. Excellent. So absolutely, coming soon.
There you go. And then after doing this master's, will graduates be eligible for applying for a full-time PhD course in the United States or at ASU?
Yes, and I would answer that as stated. This is equivalent to on-campus master course, and with this degree, you can either apply here at ASU, or you would be also free to shop around and find another university at which you might like to do your PhD.
But I mean, the transcript for this program is identical to that of a student who completed the program on campus. So I think that's important to know too, that there's no differentiation from this program and the on-campus program from that aspect.
Excellent. So we have another question about the graduation requirements, just one more time, just to reiterate. This person asked, is there any other graduation threshold than finishing the 10 courses and a publication of paper? So I feel like the publication of paper is not a requirement.
No, and so it's a project portfolio, which there are some, the on-campus guidelines are actually on our school website, and it'll be very similar. The submission process will be different for online, but it's not a published paper. It is a project portfolio that will be submitted directly through the advising office and reviewed by faculty and the program chair for computer science. So it's not a published paper, that's the criteria. So it's the completion of classes and the project portfolio that you'll do. And then we also have a GPA requirement. So we do expect you to maintain a B average throughout the program. But that's those are the graduation requirements.
Maybe we need to explain that each course will have a project associated with that, and students at the end of the program will compile what they have done in terms of project assignments and submit that for review towards their final degree.
Yes, that's a good summation of what the project portfolio will be. So hopefully that helped clarify a little bit.
So somebody asked, I'd like to know how well the course, or I'm assuming they're saying degree, how well the degree would benefit a person who aspires to earn a good job in this domain, meaning master's or computer science, if someone wants to work in computer science.
I mean, they're learning some very well-desired competencies through this coursework.
Yeah, so
the developers.
We can expand or repeat what we said last time, that we have number of large companies that we work together with in order to understand what are the skills needed for that industry right now. I would just mention that this afternoon I'm meeting one of those large companies where they will be presenting their needs in terms of skills over next 3 to 5 years. And that is being, I would say, actively incorporated into the course designs. So it can be on big data, it can be on data analytics, on artificial intelligence, on cyber security, or whatever are the needs of that companies, but the content and syllabus is proactively updated based on the inputs that we are getting from industry.
So the graduates will have very marketable skills that are sought after in industry.
And I would also add, it is not by chance what Diana mentioned, that we are ranked number 5 in terms of employability. It is due to that feedback that we have in our process to learn about the needs and build that into our syllabus.
Build those relationships. Okay.
Wonderful. So it looks like we have kind of 2 more questions and then we can wrap up. Okay. One is about the essay. I think it's the personal statement that she's asking about. She says, is submitting the essay mandatory, and what is expected in the essay while submitting the application?
Okay, so yeah, that's the personal statement or statement of intent, where basically we just want to know, why are you interested in this program? You can elaborate on, what you hope to get out of it and or contribute to it even throughout taking the classes. So it's really just, why this program, why grad school, just answering those questions. It doesn't have to be long. A page is probably the average for these. So it really just explain, why you're interested in ASU and
what is the motivation?
Yes. What's your motivation? Yeah, absolutely.
Great. And then the last question is kind of specific to cybersecurity. Somebody was saying that they might want to choose that as to specialize. And how are they going to break down the courses for cybersecurity? You may not know that yet, Dragan, but that is the question that's been asked.
So we can go back to that slide with the list of all 20 courses. So, and I think on the cyber security, we would have a few that are in the system section, that is 539, and Christina is showing me is, I think, 565 will qualify to that too, and 545. So, and equally, we have a few in the applications section of those courses. So I think, as I said, we are still working on what the courses will be required for someone to get concentration in cybersecurity. But as far as specialization is concerned, it is up to individuals to choose whatever they feel is applicable for the profession or application that they are interested in. Okay.
Perfect. Well, that wraps up all the questions. Do you guys want to get, I think there's kind of a last slide about next steps.
We actually just have the question slide that we ended on, but I think that the takeaway here is if there's something that didn't get answered, or maybe you have questions about this application or submitting materials, that they can go ahead and reach out to Anita, and her email is there on the bottom. And again, that is anita.chawla@asu.edu. And she can assist if they're interested in signing up for the ETS, or concerned about getting those transcripts, or completing the English proficiency. Those type of questions, she can assist with those. So, but I guess the next step is to submit that application, so they can go to this link.asu.edu and get that application started.
Yeah, and the deadline